Howdy there, Diecast people. Looks like we did it. We're back for episode number 2. And so, after the last episode, I was kind of interested in doing some more candy type paint jobs and stuff like that. I'm still interested in that, so I was going through cars and trying to figure out which model I would like to do, and some had more reasons than the other, you know, like it would be good to do a Hot Wheels, that might make some people happy. You know, you've got something like this, on the other hand, that requires some more restoration. That's kind of fun too. But you know what? It's another Matchbox, so that might be setting a precedent to some people. So anyway, make a long story short, an eBay delivery came today, and I got a lot of cars, about 50 cars, and in it was this one. And how could I resist this? If something screamed, I need restoration or customization more than anything else, this is the one. Now, I wouldn't know what to expect this model to be, except that I already have one. So I know what model it is. I mean, even though when you get onto the back, it doesn't say anything about the what model it is, but at least I can see I have a working reference for what it should look like. That's nothing of what we're going to make it look like, but at least I know what I'm working with. So yeah, so let's wow, there's paint everywhere on this and lack of chrome where there should be. Yeah, so let's do this car. Now with some of these models, you have to get the trusty old center punch out and give it a dent in the center so that you can drill the rivet out. But on this model, you can see there's already dimples where the rivets are. So we can just get straight to the drilling of things. Then we get our trusty screwdriver out, try and pry this thing apart. Though I think it might be painted partially shut, because I'm pretty sure I've gotten down deep enough. Yeah, that side's coming out. And that side. So what do we have here? Paint just about everywhere. That'll be fun. And we'll give this a little bath and some paint stripper. And we can forget about that for 10 or 15 minutes. So once this thing was torn apart, I got to take a good look at the windows on it. And, I mean, they'll need to be recovered, but they're in actually pretty good shape. So I use two things for getting paint off. I also need to get some paint off of the scoop on here too. But some guys want to put this in like with brake fluid or something like that, or brake cleaner to get that off. I like to scrape it with a razor. I just find that it does the job. You can see what's going on, and so that's how I do it. But I mean, I also use a toothpick where necessary. So now that the big bits are off, I'll hit it with some sandpaper, and that should get it cleaned up the rest of the way. I'm starting with a 600 grit on this one because you can see pretty much all the paint is gone now. It's just a question of getting it smooth so that I can get a nice finished polish out of it. Today I'm jumping straight to the 2000 grit because, not because it's the right thing to do. Generally speaking, I'd like to go to 1000 from there, but I'm out of 1000, so I'm going straight to the 2000, which basically means I'm going to have to sand twice as long to get it cleaned up. But that's okay. So after a fair bit of sanding, I've got this about as clean as it's going to get. It'll look a lot nicer once I've coated it with some floor polish. But I also noticed that there's some spidering going on from the inside that I got no control over. So that's just going to be what it is. So yeah, we'll dunk this in some floor polish and then let it sit overnight and see what happens with that. After all that sanding and polishing and stuff, this is how the windshield turned out. I said it turned out pretty good. This finished stripping, and I have to say I'm kind of stunned at how little plating there is left on this. It's a good thing I'm not going for some sort of chrome effect, because that would be super difficult to accomplish on this model. But I'll get to sanding and wire brushing this thing off, and we'll see what we get. I know the question that's burning on everyone's mind right now, so I'm just going to get it out of the way. Yeah, we made it to the second episode, and Createx still isn't sponsoring me. So we'll work with what we've got. So you can see right there that there's some casting marks. Now I'm not going to put a huge effort in trying to get rid of casting marks on this car. There aren't that many, but I will do a little bit of work on it. I don't want to be one of those channels that pretends that things go perfectly all the time. So anyway, I got it out to get primer on it, and I was looking around, and well, looking at the front, that's mostly clean. I can probably clean that up a little bit more, those casting lines. When I was priming it, I realized, I was looking back here, and I thought when I was originally doing that, this was just a natural line, but it's actually just a really nasty casting line. So I got to do a little bit more filing here and get that fixed up. And a little bit of filing later. I've got this all, well, I've got it as clean as I'm going to get it. I could spend another few minutes, but I think that's good enough. Unfortunately, it did open up that little hole there in the casting, so I'm going to have to live with that too. Anyway, let's get this off to the first coat of paint. Okay, so we got the first coat of paint, the white coat on, and it's looking pretty good. So now we get to do the fun part, or the not so fun part, attempting to do some taping. Well, I'm not sure exactly how well you can see it, but I've got the first coat, well, it's actually a couple of coats, but of the gold flake on here. So that'll be the start for the base coat for the final, which is going to be a candy coat. So let's see if we can get this tape off without stripping the paint. Ooh. Yeah, that's going to look pretty good, I think. Yeah. This might actually turn out pretty good. Okay, the next step will be the candy coat. Not bad for some hand-cut tape, and beep, 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 beep. I'm going to have to haul this stuff off to the paint shop again for a little bit of paint on the base and in the interior. In the interior, I want to paint the interior black. I'm going to paint it a flat black, but I want to paint the fire hydrant red. So we'll do that, send that off to the paint shop, and you got to kind of be careful of crazy drivers. Oh, you know what else? I was thinking to myself when I was picking the soundtrack, the theme song for these videos. I had a bunch of choices, and I picked this one. I couldn't figure out why, and then I just realized why. And it's because it reminds me of the Trailer Park Boys. And if you don't know the Trailer Park Boys, well, that's on you, not me. But anyway, yeah, so that's why I picked that. Okay, off to paint, get the last things painted, throw it all together, and hopefully we have a finished car. The paint on turned out surprisingly better than it looks on camera. I'm going to have to, hopefully get some good shots outside, because you just can't see what it actually looks like in here. It looks pretty horrible in here, actually, so I'm not even going to show you. I have to confess that I don't think this turned out quite as well as I'd hoped. It is much nicer, you can't... Hopefully when I get this outside you'll be able to see the detail in it, but it isn't quite as nice as I had hoped. Anyway, I got the interior done, painted it black, went with some red seats and a red fire extinguisher. So now all we have to do is put this back together. Okay, so I took this out onto the back porch to try and get some light and see if I could get a better shot of it. It didn't look good in the light either. It's nice from the distance, kind of, but yeah, it just didn't turn out quite the way that I was hoping. So I think this is going to have to go back into the pile to be redone at some point. Yeah. Not what I had hoped, but that's the thing about doing these things, is that it doesn't always work out the way you think it's going to, and sometimes you have to redo the job. I mean, there's lots of guys on here who do restoration videos and stuff like that, and they'll say, I'm going to paint it this color, and then they'll make the video, and they realize that they hate the color, so they strip it and everything off camera. So that's kind of what happened here. This didn't turn out quite the way that I had hoped. There are some cool aspects and techniques to it, but it looks good from, a couple of feet away, but the closer you look, the less good it looks. So yeah, I think there's only one thing to do, is put this back into the pile of to be restored, and we'll get to it sometime when we feel like it again. But for now, I just want to take 1 second to say thank you very much for tuning in. I hope I earned your subscription today. I hope you learned something, enjoyed yourself, took pleasure in my demise. Anyway, have yourself a great day.